Well, hello everybody. I want to do this live. I caught up with Canada, the 51st state, all the comments, the posts. As usual, it's over 90% rejection rate these days. And I get it with the election. Um, my large following identifies as conservative in Canada. For Americans who know this very well, I actually sat through a 1 hour video today by one of our Canadian 51st staters who's in a religious Christian group, very, very popular in the United States, very, very unpopular in Canada. It's a serious minority, but it's an overwhelming majority in the United States. This is a group of conservatives known as Puritans. It's conservatives known as the Bible Belt. This is somewhat Old Testament mixed in absolutely with New Testament, but not of the Catholic denomination. And they stray from that when it comes to justice, people's responsibility. There's been a corruption of a lot of churches, folks. Let's just start there. I call it church under state. That's what it is. The United States, since actually 1776, and that carried through the 9 years of the Confederate Constitution, Articles of Confederation, and then it went on and stayed absolute, enshrined in the United States of America, 1787, right till today. It's still very, very strong. And that is separating church from state. Church from state. The idea of God is individual. It's your choice, your right to pursue God. And a big majority of that in the United States follows a lot of teachings of what are the Puritans. These are the absolute original American independence folks. Fight for your freedom. Eye for an eye, tooth for a tooth, life for a life style folks. That you have a right to security of persons, family, if you're righteous in your defense. Now, Canada didn't follow that. This is again on monopoly of force, but the churches, this is the Church of England, this is the Catholic Church, these are all church groups that absolutely are from the Empire Kingdoms. They were long since taken absolutely. This is, yes, the Pope. I know this offends a lot of Canadian Catholics, but the Pope is instrumental in this. They're all about the gold and the jewels. You know the story of Jesus Christ. You know the story how he walked into that temple and saw all the gold, the fine clothes, the trading, and he got angry. The only time and only story I know of Jesus where he got angry and he threw everything amok and destroyed all the staging and setup of that temple, threw the money, the coinage, the gold. He said, "This is not my house of my Lord, my God, my Father's house. It's not his house." Now, how could that be in the Catholic teachings, New Testament, yet every single church is built in that respect. Every single priest is dressed that way. Golden chalices, golden crosses, gold everywhere. Give money to the church. And then church, of course, under state. And this is all of England. It wasn't just England, it's all of France. It's a lot of Europe. Absolutely Spain, Portugal, all of it. They divided in two. This is for church under state. This is absolutely papal bull doctrine, doctrine of discovery. This is not America. Not America. Monopoly of force is what the church teaches. Those churches who are church under state, they teach you that no violence is acceptable. Only your government, apparently, is allowed to have force. They're righteous in that. That's acceptable. Even worshiping a monarch is acceptable. We do this in Canada. None of your churches speak out against it. They say that's just fine. This is not the case in the United States of America. if you ever go there and spend some time getting to know Democrats or Republicans, I've gotten to know a heck of a lot of Republicans, but I've also got to know a heck of a lot of Democrats, and I can tell you they are nothing like any Canadian from any spectrum. Now, why I bring this up and what's really, really disheartening and what really upsets me with Canadians is you still don't get it. And I listened to this 1 hour presentation by a man who's faithful in the United States, just like myself, raised Catholic, and he has all the lingo, all these American sayings I've heard over the years in different states, and of course Americans I've worked with in the trade, and I laugh. But he brought up some serious issues with Canadians. He said this is really alarming, and of course it's the same alarm bells I'm dealing with as Canada, the 51st state, that we're not pursuing conservative, liberal, NDP, Bloc, Green, you name it. If it's a monarchical political party, it does not come forward with Canada, the 51st state. I'm going to say that again. No Republican or Democrat can offer you any citizenship or statehood in any of those political parties. None whatsoever. It's illegal. It's unconstitutional in the United States. It's 100% one important reason why you will never see naturalization. Why I bring this up? I have worked on American citizenship like nobody else. Besides probably my friend Rob Tavoni, who spent a considerable amount of time and money in the United States itself, exhausting all his resources. Maybe I should have asked him for permission, but he did this and he didn't get it either after being there and implementing himself and his financial for a long time. I have tons of family and friends who've spent money on immigration lawyers. I have a great friend who's very successful in the United States. He's a global player. He's got an excellent career. He has probably the best hookup for an immigration lawyer. And that immigration lawyer rejected me just 2 days ago. I was talking and met with him very briefly because of my daughter. I said, listen, I'm at my rope's end here. I really can't handle this Canada anymore. I don't want to be here anymore. This is, after the election, of course, and I listen to all of you post and talk and tell me how great and wonderful conservatives are, that all our problems are exclusively liberal. I can't stand the Liberal Party. I've never voted for the Liberal Party. I've never affiliated with the Liberals, never once in my life, born and bred Albertan. Nothing but pain and suffering from the Trudeau Senior family, and of course, Trudeau Junior family as well, too. But I'm not ignorant to the transition in my home province from Ralph Klein into the federal Conservatives and all the destruction of my industry and my career. Absolutely, all the agendas. I watched it happen in the Conservatives. Now, did Trudeau double down and all that? Sure he did. But it did not stop Pierre Poilievre, Stephen Harper, and many others, not only from destroying what was left of Ralph Klein and Alberta at that time and the narrative that Alberta was on. We were lucky and blessed for that 1 in 100. We got a guy like Ralph Klein in Canada. Otherwise, when you roll the dice in the Crown system, you get awful monarchs, just like the whole history of monarchies. America does not allow for monarchials. Zero, zip, zilch, none whatsoever. You will never become an American or be granted statehood if you preach any kind of monarchical system or you think somehow you're like an American. I can assure you you're not. And if you go into question, I've already been through it, folks, and rejected a number of times for citizenship. I don't hold proper credentials, or at least if I do have credentials, I don't have the right American attributes that companies are looking for, or I haven't got that sponsorship, which is astronomically difficult today. Now, there are some jobs I could have gone into even upwards of probably 2 years ago. 2 years ago, those doors are all closed. All very well closed. And Canadians don't know this. They don't seemingly want to know it. You believe that somehow this monarchical system makes you just like an American. It doesn't. You're the furthest thing from an American, and their system in place of naturalization weeds you out in a snap of a finger and sends your bags packing. Again, I know people who vested tens upon tens of thousands of dollars to try and get American citizenship and have been rejected over and over and over again. Unless you have astronomical amounts of money that you're willing to put on the line because you're in that epic set of wealth, you're not going to get citizenship. I do have friends who had that wealth and who did this a number of years ago, and within 6 weeks were American citizens. Think about that. An American citizen in 6 weeks. I don't have any kind of money, not even remotely close to being able to achieve those American leniencies. I don't. But some folks might. 90% of us don't. And 90% of us don't qualify right now today for any kind of citizenship. Now, I'm going to work towards that. And I'm presenting some things for Canadians. I'm going to do the same thing for First Peoples in conjunction with the U.S. consulate right here in Toronto, Canada. And of course, that's going to involve the Russian consulate too. I'm going to show everybody how to do that, a limited signature drive on a letter where you're writing your own letter. They're all going to be modeled the same. I'm going to show you how to do that. But we're going to hammer that home. That's going to go to Trump. I don't follow any of the Crown narratives because they're all false. When it comes to Alberta separatism, I've already gone through all of that, or in fact, any other province in Confederation. I want everybody to know something right now. Bloc and PQ just did a poll after the announcement by Mark Carney to bring in King Charles III into Canada, where Albertans who say they're upset right now and are full-on separatists seemingly don't have any problem with one King Charles III coming into Canada. They have no trouble with that. They have no trouble with a federal Ottawa lifetime member coming back to Alberta and running one of their ridings. In majority, Albertans celebrate that. So these issues, which are huge, because I can tell you, Quebec polls 70% of Quebecois poll against King Charles III, and in fact, 78% poll for Quebec, the Republic, no more monarchy. That in itself, just moving that needle, that puts Quebec way ahead of anybody else in Canada. Now, they're not saying separate from Canada. They're saying they want some kind of provincial Republican system, which again, I say, well, why don't you start with provincial constitutions? Again, when you talk to any separatists, anybody with any of these narratives of autonomy and everything else, the basic thing that America will recognize is a regional constitution for a federalism like Canada. And yet none of them want to do it. Not a one wants to do it. These are alarm bells, folks, for all Americans, especially in a Democrat or Republican administration. Doesn't matter. Contrary to popular belief, it does not matter at that point. They're going to say, I'm sorry, nothing about you remotely legally matches us in any way, shape, or form. And Canadians still can't figure this out, that you say you want freedom, you say you want independence, but you don't really want to be independent from the monarchy, or in fact, you don't want to be independent with responsibility individually at all. You don't. You want your system to stay the same. You just don't want to be expensed in that system in any way. You're saying that you want to have savage people defined. You want to have different classes of people, and that's fine for you. And the more I've searched in this from the Alberta Prosperity Project, I have read nothing, absolutely nothing from any of these narratives from Alberta to Quebec that would lead me to believe that you want to move anywhere near a free and fair society. In fact, you rather like the autocracy, the people running all these narratives, they really like their position in the autocracy. They just want more power in the autocracy. They want more access to stealing the wealth so that those ahead of them don't cut too much of their share out. That's really what we're talking about here. Again, nobody has come along to say, you know what, the first thing we should do is enshrine all our provincial powers and enact a provincial constitution through constitutional conventions of we the people in the regions, which is completely written out and called for since 1867 in Canada. It's why USA didn't destroy us in 1867. They finished their civil war in 1866, and they had decolonized all of the United States, all the southern states, removed the Spanish. They had a decision to make. Do we point our rifle barrels at Spain and finish decolonizing the Spanish Empire, or do we point our rifle barrels north and decolonize the rest of the British Empire from the face of the earth? This is real, whether Canadians like to hear this or not. And Canada quickly, sneakily, the British Empire quickly, sneakily rolled out this Dominion of Canada. Very smart. It looks on the surface to be in the makings of something that could be like the United States. It even had provincial constitutions. Hey, look, all those state powers are there for Canadians to enact. Okay, they can get towards that. They may be changing into a model like us. Okay, let's point our rifle barrels at Spain and finish off all of that. Let's eradicate that evil from the earth. And so America did. They went on another 40 years to finish that off. Meanwhile, Canada and its constitution never changed one bit. Any of those promises were never enacted, called for, still in the Constitution today, but yet no province or territory wants to do it. In fact, when I talk to any Canadian who says they want to get in the 51st state because they're mad about the other Crown Party, but then you see they want the other Crown Party. And it's like, do you not understand that you can't be 51st state and be a monarchical? You can't. America will not accept that. I've told it to people a million times, but yet they keep coming back and they take great offense at, but I'm conservative. I love the conservative crown. All my Canadian problems come from only the red crown, not the blue crown. And America tells you all of your problems come from the crown. They don't give two shits about which color of the crown. They already know that you're violating your individual natural rights to believe in a higher power that isn't another human being. That's America rule number one. And it even says, we the people, when you go on, you read that first paragraph, and God is not another human being. They tell you that right in the opening preliminary of the United States Constitution, the preamble. They tell you that it is a nation of God, and that's not a human being. They even enshrine that several times throughout the Constitution. And if you have never got that out of the federal Constitution of the United States, you absolutely cannot find one of the 50 states of the Union that doesn't explicitly tell you that, and goes on to tell you that you can't do this. In fact, the 1790 Naturalization Amendment, the Bill of Rights, the first 10 amendments, after that it tells you naturalization, you can't do that. You have to swear an oath against all of that. You have to renounce that. You can't be an American if you subscribe to monarchies. If you subscribe to the Conservative Party of Canada or the Liberal Party of Canada or the NDP Party of Canada or the Green Party of Canada or the Bloc Party of Canada, you can't be 51st state, and you certainly can never be an American. That's what you are telling the United States of America. If I let you publish all of your political bullshit on our page, we're basically lying to ourselves, lying to the public, lying to the United States, lying to Donald J. Trump and his offer, saying, yeah, fuck you, America. We're nothing like you and we're never going to be. That's what I might as well say. And yet still so many in a huge majority can't figure this absolute out at its core level. If you come on to Canada, the 51st state, it's because you know in your heart, in your soul, that monarchies are wrong, the entire Canadian system is broken, and you're here for the 51st state because you want that we the people republic. You at least at your core know that human beings are not to be worshipped as gods, and that you understand at least that much about America and you're ready to naturalize. If that isn't you, we don't have any place for you or your posts in the 51st state, Canada, the 51st state. Otherwise, Americans will never, ever in a million years accept you. Not for citizenship and certainly not for statehood. If you can't renounce that. Now, I did a video, Facebook took it down. The first thing I did when I got back over my Christmas holidays was light a British flag on fire and read the Oath of Allegiance, not a pledge to the flag of the United States, the Naturalization Oath of Allegiance. It's why everybody has to do that, because you need to get that in your head and get that in your heart, or at least you have the heart and you understand that. Canadians who don't want to do that, you can't be an American, you can't be 51st state. You will be rejected. Now, I've made this very clear. I'm going to pin this video up. It's very, very frustrating that out of over and over 90 percentile of posts are in these narratives, and people are going, you're a liberal, you won't let me make my post. No. For the umpteenth time, we are Canada, the 51st state. If you don't know what is primary in being an American or Canada, the 51st state, you don't belong here. Stay with your monarchy. Wake up down the road, that's fine. But if people continue, I'm just going to start issuing warnings, because it takes a lot of time and energy to go through all those crap posts, watch all the videos, and it's going to be repeat offenders are going to get warned. Does your post violate the nature of becoming Canada the 51st state or the naturalization laws of citizenship in the United States of America? If they do, you get one warning, and you're told so you can learn. Right? This is naturalization law. Learn it. This is what America is. Learn it. If this isn't you and you can't see your post violates everything that is the United States and everything it's about, then you don't belong here. You have to go back to your crown. Stay in your lane. We don't want crybabies who want to become American because they're looking for an easy way out, thinking that they get to continue on as a monarchical, a lunatic that America wants nothing to do with. It's not only America's oldest enemy, it's America's longest running corruption. They don't want it. They have enough of the Democrats who've already been diseased by it. And you'll notice those are northern states. Those are northern corrupted states by who? By Canada, by Canadians. They've corrupted those Democrat states, those center Democrat strongholds. And you know why I can prove that? Where was Kamala Harris raised and educated? Oh yeah, Canada. When you start looking at who's in this big Democrat stronghold, you realize they all have ties to either England, Australia, or big time Canada. Any way you look at it, it's all the same. Anti-American, make America subjects again, versus make America great again. That's the truth. Now, if you're going to try and play a game here that you think you're a conservative because of your social ideals, but you sit way up here on enemy of America, numero 1, you're just going to be removed from the group. And I will start issuing those warnings. I have to. And I don't care if we go down to 2,500 members. I don't want the ignorance. I don't want the corruption. It's a waste of time and energy. And a lot of people are mad. I have people telling me off. Why won't you let me post these things? It's like, because it's anti-American. It's completely against what is Canada, the 51st state. And if you don't know that, you have no business getting involved in any American naturalization program, calling yourself an American idealist, or any of it, because you're not any of those things. And many Puritans will absolutely tell you this. If you don't know what that is, you should look it up, because it's a majority in the United States today. Always has been, always will be. That's how naturalization works. It changes the people. That's what the founding fathers designed. We designed it. They designed a system so that people would be converted to it, not convert and usurp a system to make it like the garbage of the rest of the world, or bring your garbage that you're supposedly escaping from to the United States. They don't want that. That's why their constitution is 238 years old, because the founding fathers put up barriers to that kind of lunacy and corruption of their system. That's why America still stands strong today. They don't bend for anybody. Everybody must bend for the United States system. Very difficult system, but it's a good thing. Even though it may not work for me, it's a good thing. That's my video. Share, get it out there, because from now on, repeat offenders are going to be warned. If you bring the monarchy here 3 times, you're thrown out of the group, banned for life. Gone. And no matter what we do going forward, you're not ever going to get back in. You're going to have to find another movement. And for you, that might be too late. We have a lot of works going on. We can't have these style Canadians who really are not for America, we the people, or any of it. They're frauds. They're sick. They're institutionalized. And I can educate, but education ends when it's been repeated into some skulls 40, 50, 60,000 times, and they're still replaying the same old, like it was yesterday. And some people can't be saved. When you read the Bible, look how many examples of how many could not be saved, and you've just got to let them go. You can't bring them with you. You have to let them go, because you risk corrupting what you do have. And that's a reality. And I have to live with that. It's just what it is. That's my video. God bless everybody. Share. Get it out there. Know this truth. Know the reality, because a mass majority do not. And that's the conservative folks in majority who think somehow they are able to supersede the United States, its system that they know, when clearly they're just as sick as the liberals. Do I like them more than the liberals? Sure. Do they have some social ideologies I like? Sure. But at the end of the day, you're in a monarchical autocracy, and you're swearing your oath and allegiance to a human being. You're giving godlike power to a human being that is unacceptable to the United States of America in any way, shape, or form. They force you to swear out of that. And in fact, they test you to make sure that's not your psychological profile. And if that is you, and we're filled with it in our group, what's that going to do? Especially when I start these processes with 2 ambassadors. What do you think they're going to say when they're used to screening this kind of stuff? Holy crap, the guy was doing so good, but look at all these nut jobs he sent me. Do you think I want that? When people start going off about how great and wonderful certain things are, and America's shaking their head going, are you a lunatic? We're never going to accept you. Do you really want Americans saying that? I get videos all the time from Americans telling Canadians off. And it's not just telling off liberals, it's telling off Canadians. I've got Southern, Northern, every American in between. Sometimes I share these videos, especially when they're really good. You want crying babies, you blah, blah, blah. We've been listening to you for this many years, and you suckholes did this, and that's what they call you. It's brutal. It's brutal. And, that's why I have to do this. I have to. It's time to clean house. I don't want it anymore. And these people, they think that everything should be handed to them in life. That is the absolute epitome of socialism. And these people believe they're conservative. And it's like, but you expect to be gifted everything without doing any work. That is the definition of socialism. You are an extreme socialist. You don't even know it. Then you get into all the radical ideologies where I hate this person, I hate that person, oh, this group of people, fuck them. But I deserve all the rights. Just give them to me. Do it for me. But I'm going to dehumanize all these other people. I'm going to hate all these other people. I'm going to tell you how great I am and how evil they are and how much I hate them and they should all die. Okay. Do you think Americans talk like that or think like you do? The answer is in clear majority no. No, America loves America. Americans actually love each other. I've never felt so much warmth as when I'm in the United States. It's very hard for me to come back to Canada. I'm being honest here. It's very hard every time I come back from a U.S. trip. It plays on me. I mean, I'm hitting the gym. I'm very healthy these days, but it doesn't change that psychological. It doesn't. And I know the evil now. I know the light of America, and I know the evil darkness of Canada. So that plays on a person. It plays on me. I try my best to be positive. I try to educate. But at some point, you can't be in the prison and have the prisoners poisoning you. And I know a lot of people know what I mean by that. And that's where it will affect you. And it does affect you. And it's not healthy. And that's why I got to clean up the page. And from now on, again, I'm repeating because people are rotating in. I'm repeating because it has to be understood that it's going to be a 3-strike rule. If you habitually continue to keep posting your political love of your parties, and it has nothing to do with America's narratives or finding yourself in natural law for freedom, for liberty, for all the blessings of America, the idea that humans are not gods, that we're all equal, and you can't find that sense of love and purpose that is the design of the United States, the idea that you can go forward like anybody else, that you don't begrudge someone for their success, you're happy with a life you chose and live because you have the opportunity. If that isn't why you want to get into 51st State, if it's because you have delusional ideas of your crown power or your perceived supremacy or supremacy of certain political parties in Canada's monarchy, you're going to be removed. I have no choice. I have to get rid of the evil. And on that video, I wish I would have saved her name, but I'll have to go look at it. It's posted. But that 1-hour video by that American, and he preaches, it was powerful. And it was a reminder that, yeah, like him, I need to say, hey, you know what? People have heard the truth for a long enough time. You aren't getting it, and it's time to cut you loose. So those who don't get it and don't want to get it because the blinders are up and they're going to continue on their lifestyle thinking that somehow they're going to be enriched because they're special or superior, or that they have a superior political crown party that makes them superior and it's all going to work out for them. You go with that because you're going to get thrown off her page. I have to. You've been shown many times and you don't get it, and you're never probably going to get it. So we got to send you back into where hence you came, into the abyss. That's my video. Share, get it out there. I'm going to pin and post that. And it's no loss of me. I lost a lot of friends. I mean, I entertain about 1,000 friend requests a month. About 1,000 friend requests a month. My following slows down and goes up, down, but I average about 35 to 40 followers a week, depending on what I do. That's slow growth. It would probably be, I would be at, if I lived to 70 years old, I'd probably be at 150,000 followers. Unless something epic happens, that always happens. But more than not, I get more friend requests than ever. More than not, I get more follower requests. But it's very sad when people who followed me for a long time can't see past their own nose, and they still don't see the initial. That American who has a lot of Canadian followers, he hit that on the head. He said, all of us Americans get it, but you Canadians, which we love you, and we really want to help you, because that's how Americans are. We really want to help you, but the reality is, it's been years now since COVID, this guy's going on, and you should already understand this. We've gone through this several times in real depth and detail. This is a Puritan, right? Bible Belt, Old Testament Christianity. And they've gone through it in great detail that you should really get this. This stuff is even in your Bible. How do you ignore that? How do you just ignore it and say, oh, well, that was just something Jesus did. It doesn't matter. The other things matter, but not this portion of Jesus. You don't get to pick and choose stories and scriptures if you're going to follow something. You don't get to do that. When you start doing that, you've lost all legitimacy. And that is what Canada is. Zero legitimacy. It's always been that way. And if folks don't get it, it's not a new phenomenon. There's the people are like, this is now blah, blah, blah. 2025 is the year that Canada transitioned into this, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, no, Canada, if you'd look, has always been this way since 1867. I had people tell me about Deputy Prime Minister, look, it's a lifetime appointment. Look, this was just done in 2025. And I'm like, no, that's been codified in the highest laws of your land since 1867. Liberals didn't invent that. That's as old as Canada. That was written into the first documents. In fact, it's written for 2,500 appointed positions, lifetime crown sworn. And Canadians still don't get it. People who follow me for a long time, it's like, at what point do I say, if you believe this is a new narrative by Mark Carney, or it was just introduced in 2015 by Justin Trudeau, are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? Have you never ever looked at your history? And Canadians won't. They refuse to. They don't want to because they don't want to accept the truth because they like the lie. And there are stories in the Bible about all those who participated in the sin, loved the sin, and really all they wanted was to have more power to sin, even greater than they already were. They wanted to remove other sinners who had more power than them to actually sin. They wanted that power more for themselves. I hate to say it, but that is what Quebec independence is all about. That is what Alberta independence is about. They even copycat each other, like especially Alberta. But we'll get more power and control if we follow the Quebec model. Instead of, we should have equality of all the people. All provinces should be equal. All people should be equal and have the equal opportunity. Now, your successes will vary, but at least you all had the equal chance to go at it. That's a real fair we the people system. But not Canada. It's all assigned. And then people are fighting about their piece of the pyramid and how many people they're going to fuck over. And they hate each other. You will hear hatred beyond all belief from so many Canadians. And I disallow a lot of Americans who try to spread and preach that. These are the Americans that are corrupted in the Democrats. And people say, oh no, it's this guy's conservative. I'm sorry, but I know MAGA. I know it extremely well. I know the Bible Belt extremely well. I know the Puritan American, which does overlap both Democrat and Republican, again in what? Clear majority. I know them very well. They don't just subscribe to those hateful messaging. That's not your average American. Your average American is very helpful and kind, believe it or not. I'm not saying there's not criminals. They are everywhere. But Americans are conditioned for civics, and they like the idea of bringing you along. They really do. You reach out to ask for help from an American over a Canadian, 9 times out of 10, you'll get the help from the American. I've seen this full well. I remember I had car problems. New York, Buffalo, New York. Before Buffalo, New York, 100 miles out of Buffalo, New York, in rural New York State. I'm in trouble. My car's smoking and banging. I'm losing this car and I'm scared. It's 2 o'clock in the morning. I'm like, I've got to get to Buffalo. I've got to make it. This is a Hail Mary. Please, please, God, help me get through this. And of course, I had to pull over at one point. I pinned up these mountain roads, so steep Appalachians. And of course, my car's going to overheat. I got to stop or the motor's going to calf. And I stop, I coast in. And of course, all of a sudden, police show up and I'm scared, right? Cops, I'm a Canadian. Oh man, it's the middle of the night. I got this car, this boat that's smoking, it's banging. And all I got was, do you need help? Do you need assistance? He even radioed ahead to the next town and the next town after that. Look out for this guy. He's going to be coming through town banging away. If he's in trouble, look for him. He's all alone. You know, that would never happen in Canada. Not a remote chance. I get pulled over by a cop in that situation. I'm getting tagged, fined, impounded. You're cranky, you say the wrong thing to the cop, next you know, you're getting arrested, thrown in a lockup, waiting for the Monday to see the JP, paying for all the days of that busted up old car and impound. Then you gotta try and work all that out, and then the thing's seized anyway. Now you're really at a loss. That is the average experience in Canada, and that is the other relation to the experience of the United States of America. And it's not just one time. I've seen great goodness in Chicago, in Philadelphia, old Philly. I've seen American kindness like I can never measure in Canada. I've never measured it to that extreme. I'm not saying there's not beautiful and kind Christian Canadians, but not to that general level, not to that spiritual sense, that love thy neighbor as thyself. 9 times out of 10, you'll never get that in Canada. That's my video. Share, share, share. Get it out there. It's a warning for all those who still don't get it. You're going to start getting cleaned out. Bye now.